Well, hello and welcome to the Resounding Love Center for the Arts virtual fundraiser. We are so thankful you are here. My name is Chris Aker, and I'm very excited about tonight and what we have in store for all of you. The theme of tonight's fundraiser is Love is Our Default, which I think beautifully captures what Resounding Love is, a group of incredible individuals that together create a gospel choir that is intentionally multiracial, interfaith, and LGBTQ welcoming, with a strong anti racism practice built in. Well, before we go further in tonight's program and celebration, we do want to pause and remember the lives of people that in the past weeks have been targeted by racist violence, including those whose lives were cut short by these acts of hate. We remember the 10 Black lives lost in the shooting in Buffalo, New York. We remember the women who were shot amidst 3 separate acts of violence towards Asian-run businesses in Dallas. And we remember the life lost and those wounded in a shooting at a Laguna Beach, California church, most of the victims being of Taiwanese descent. And finally, we remember all other acts of violence present with any of us in this moment. We respond to these acts of violence by grieving along with their families, friends, and communities. We respond by lamenting over the brokenness of our world. And we respond with love. Love for all people. Love that transforms. Love that heals. Love as our default. Please join me in a moment of silence. As we sit together in this moment, I invite you to take 2 deep breaths, in through your nose and out through your mouth. May these breaths center you into this present moment. And may they help you breathe in the love we share for each other and breathe out the hurt, pain, and confusion we may be feeling. Thank you. How precious is each life, and how powerful it is to be in community together this evening with all of you. Well, again, my name is Chris Aker. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm honored to be your MC tonight. I became a fan and supporter of Resounding Love Center for the Arts the moment I heard their singing and learned about their vision. I count myself lucky to be able to call Cynthia Gossawara a dear friend. Cindy is one of the co-founders, co-CEO, along with the incredible Marshawn Moultrie, and president of Resounding Love. Many of you here tonight are friends with Cindy, Marshawn, or one of the many members of Resounding Love. Can we just take a moment to say thank you to all of these incredible people for inviting us into this amazing community they have created? I'd love to see some actual or some virtual hand clapping. The perfect time to use that reactions button in Zoom. You can use your hands, you can do a dance, you can raise your glass if you've got a drink with you. But thank you. It is incredible to see everyone here tonight. So let me tell you a little bit about what to expect, including your part in the program. So tonight is focused on learning about Resounding Love and partnering with them in a variety of ways. We have several speakers in our program tonight that will share what Resounding Love is and the impact it has had on them and their community. We'll also share some of the music Resounding Love has created, always a highlight for me. And finally, tonight is about getting to know you. And one way to do that is to make sure your name in Zoom is accurate. So take a look at your video in Zoom, wherever it is, somewhere on your screen. And if the name next to your video does not look correct, I'd love for you to hover over it, click the 3 dots, and rename to make sure it's accurate. And if you can't figure out how to do that, let us know in the chat, and we can try to change it for you through the magic of Zoom. So in between the speakers and music, there will be a very important role for you all to play, which is partnering with Resounding Love financially. As a nonprofit organization, Resounding Love would, of course, welcome any time, talent, and support you can give them. But let me just come out and say it. Tonight is about the financial support we can give. And whether that financial support is big or small, it all matters and is needed. One last final logistic to cover before the program starts is just to note that we are recording this fundraiser so we can capture all the goodness that is going to happen tonight. And so now I'm going to step back and turn over the screen to Cynthia Gossawara to tell you about Resounding Love's superhero origin story. Cindy.
Thanks, Chris. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm so glad I showered and put on pants for this. My name is Cynthia Gossawara. For those of you I haven't met, I use she and her pronouns. I'm located in Seattle, and I am the co-founder and co-CEO of Resounding Love Center for the Arts. I am so proud of this community, which now includes every single one of you that is here tonight. I wanted to share a little bit about our history, which I'm really also very proud of. Marshawn and I met about 5 years ago in our last church, where he was the music minister and I was the choir president. And over time, we started to realize that our choir was starting to do something spiritually as well as musically transformative. It was drawing people in, some of whom had been away from church for decades. And we also began to sing very intentionally outside the church walls to people who don't typically get sung to, some of the most sidelined and forgotten in our society. We eventually ended up leaving that church at around the same time, but a couple of days later, I had a vision that was so vivid, I literally could not fall asleep. If we were to recreate our experience outside a church, we could make something that was more representative in terms of race, religion, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, gender identity, and so many other dimensions. In short, we could make a choir that looked more like the world. And we could invite people in who might be longing for a connection with God or the divine through music, but for whatever reason, we're not going to get it in a church setting. From the very start, it was incredibly important to me that this gospel choir be more than just pretty music, clapping, robes. I'm sorry to say it is not Sister Act 2 if that's what you were expecting. And as someone who's not African American, it is my responsibility to do the work of racial and social justice if I'm going to sing gospel music with any kind of integrity. It is my responsibility to honor the origins and the power of this Black musical tradition by studying the often painful history of this country and doing my part to change outcomes for the better. When we say love is our default, we mean it. We will love you on sight until you give us a reason not to. And in our world today, that is countercultural. It's vulnerable, especially for the many of us in the choir who have been harmed by bigotry and racism. I've leaned on this default setting myself many a time, both when I've been called in for something I've said or done, or when I've needed to have honest conversations with people in our choir who may have caused harm. This is the nature and the basis of the work that we require of our members to be in loving and accountable relationship with each other. We founded the choir at the very beginning of the pandemic when we thought somewhat naively that things would return to normal in a few months. Obviously, they didn't. So we had a very steep learning curve. But learning to sing this very embodied form of musical expression alone in our living rooms has been intensely beautiful at times. There have been experiences of connection and beauty amongst the difficulty. And because we were virtual from the very start, we were able to extend participation to folks across the country and even outside of the country. We have folks joining us tonight from Georgia, New Jersey, California. We have members in Costa Rica, and we've been able to share our message through video with people around the world that we will never have the chance to meet. And it's our hope that they've all heard what we're trying to say. You are loved, you are whole, you are connected, you're a part of our family. Going forward, we are not sure what the pandemic has in store for us, but we do know that we're destined now to be more than just a physical choir based in Seattle. We sing and we foster both Black healing and white activation. There is no choir out there trying to do what we are doing. With this level of anti-racism education, accountability, inclusion. So we've got big dreams. And we've got needs. And later in the program, you'll be hearing more about how you can get involved. So please be thinking about how your time, talent, and or treasure can support what Resounding Love is trying to do. We're a small but scrappy nonprofit, so please give meaningfully as we rely on that generosity. Before we go on, I do want to thank a few very, very special people. Marshawn, who's my co-conspirator in creating all kinds of good trouble. My parents, who are joining us tonight from Hawaii. And my husband, Mike, who is wrangling our children, hopefully, right now, as he does every Tuesday night. And without these folks, I certainly would not be the leader that I am today. We're going to show you one of our more recent videos. It's powerful on its own, but this week it feels like essential viewing. Please watch it through the lens of urgency, resolve, hope, and yes, righteous anger. We don't record these videos in a vacuum. We exist in a broken world, and we need you to help us fix it. Our work of Black healing and white activation has never felt so important and urgent. So thank you again for joining us and for supporting our vision.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
To see what the end's going to be.
I once was lost, but now I'm found.
To see what the end's going to
Hey, amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
be. To see what the end's going to be.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. I open my mouth to the Lord.
I won't turn back.
I will go, I shall go to see what the end's gonna be. Yeah, yeah. Ain't gonna let nobody
Turn me around.
oh no, oh no, ain't gonna let nobody.
Turn me around.
I'm gonna
Keep on walking.
I'm gonna
Keep on talking.
I'm gonna wait wait for freedom, ain't gonna let injustice. Oh no, oh no, ain't gonna let injustice. I'm gonna keep on, I'm gonna keep on, I'm gonna wait till freedom comes. Ain't gonna let racism. Oh no, oh no, ain't gonna let racism. I'm gonna keep on, with my head held high. I'm gonna keep on, I'm gonna keep on, I'm gonna wait till freedom. Wait till my freedom comes.
Good evening. My name is Willie Mullins, and I'm a tenor in the choir, as well as the chairman of the board of directors for the organization. I was invited to become a part of Marshawn and Cindy's vision for Resounding Love in February of 2020. So as an African-American transplant from the East Coast, then living in the Seattle area, I, like many, experienced the many challenges that come along with being Black in the Pacific Northwest. The idea of becoming a part of a community honoring and singing the music that is a part of my upbringing, as well as one tasking us all to do the work to fight racism through Black healing and white activation, was exactly what I and so many others needed. We were all just entering our 4th year of a presidency which empowered and gave voice to systems of hate and oppression. We'd all witnessed countless murders of unarmed Black men, women, children at the hands of the police who were never punished for their actions. Xenophobia, racism, misogyny, and homophobia seemed to be moving all in the wrong direction. And at times, life just seemed more heartbreaking than hopeful. And of course, just as I prepared myself for in-person fellowship with other Black, people of color, and white allies with like minds and values, COVID locked us all in our houses. In addition to the disappointment of not getting to be in the same room with so many wonderful folks, we were all experiencing a level of terror in something unknown that was life-threatening and traumatizing. But of course, like miracles, the existence of Resounding Love was coming right on time. We suddenly had an online community we could lean on for comfort and support amid a world in need of some faith and a lot more love. And of course, shortly after came the tragedy of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and a summer of unrest. The world was on edge, and Black folks were simply tired. If there was heartbreak and hopelessness before, that was now full and overflowing. I can honestly say that this community kept me sane and was one of the very few things giving me any hope for the future and the existence of decency and good in this world. Keeping the faith and believing in protection from a higher power to get you through the day is at the core of the Black experience in America. Gospel music and spirituals like the ones you just got to see are fueled by the power of the Spirit. And that Spirit is something we all needed during these trying times. While I would not claim to be the most religious person, I've always been a person of faith who walks through this world with a sense of humility and the assumption that there are greater forces at work in this world than just humanity. Being a part of Resounding Love has allowed that faith and understanding to reignite and catch fire. Getting to sing and share the music that used to play in my house on Sunday mornings also has taken me back to a familiar place that I was struggling not to lose while being so far away from everything I previously knew to be home. I share all of this to say, with Resounding Love, a safe and healing environment has been created and developed for our Black membership. Discussions about racism and discrimination can be exhausting, especially amongst mixed company that so often task us with the work of sharing and explaining our experience. Very few environments exist where Black folks are not also assigned the work of educating those that benefit from the very systems that oppress us. And it's been extremely life-giving and healing to function within a new environment focused on flipping some of that work back on those in power. And those very same people are our white membership, and we consider them allies and brothers and sisters in the name of love. because they are out there learning and doing the work. I personally very much appreciate all of you in attendance, and I'd like to thank you all in advance for your support towards a small but growing organization looking to change the world. One very much aware that the change starts at home, one step and song at a time. And now I'm going to pass things off to Kat. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Willie. I'm Kat. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the vocal coach of Resounding Love Center for the Arts. My experience in the non-Black person of color caucus is really special to me because I didn't really have the conversation with myself for a long time about my own racial identity. I found myself talking a lot about race as a greater concept that felt like it was very separate from me, and it wasn't until I joined this choir and started caucusing that I really had to come face to face with race as it pertains to me and how I fit into the greater picture. Being mixed is complicated and has a lot of layers. I grew up in a white household for most of my life, so I never really had to talk about it and didn't really have anybody who could relate to me that wanted to talk about it until this choir. I feel like my community is so much richer because we have taken the time to get comfortable talking about race and our identities, and we are very honest. And even when it's hard, I think that's where the most growth happens. It sounds so cliche, but it's so true. This community works so hard to support each other so that we can have the really deep and meaningful conversations and come face to face with the reality of the world we're currently living in. I love that we've created a safe space made up of people who aren't me, but who are similar enough to me that they can relate to my experience and put words to things that I would have never in 1,000 years been able to dictate and explain to anyone else. Being biracial is not something everyone can relate to, and not fitting into a clear box is more of a conversation now than it has ever been in my life. And being a younger member of the choir, it's been incredibly meaningful to feel like I have a host of people who protect me and care about me and want to see my success. And it's so genuine and so palpable that even on the other side of the country in New York City, I feel so secure in my community. I feel very taken care of. And I think part of that is because I am a younger person and I'm lucky to open my ears and my heart to my people with more life experience, but also open my mouth sometimes to reflect my perspective of what it's like to be growing up in 2022 and how that works into our intersectional experience as humans who have complex identities. It's a give and take being a younger member of the choir because I take as much wisdom from these people as I can, but I'm also hopefully returning the favor by providing another lens to look at things through. There's just self-discovery abound, and to do that in a room with people who love and care about you and only want you to grow so that when you do mess up, and we all mess up, you have a safety net to catch you while you try to figure out very deep and tangled parts of yourself. I've realized that I am not on this journey alone, and that even though I may be paving my own way, there's a ton of people behind me who will pull up a chair when I need to rest and fill my wells along the way. And what a gift that is, and what a gift this choir and this space that we've created is. Thank you, guys. Now I'll hand things off to Chris.
Well, thank you, Kat. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Gaynor. When I joined Resounding Love in October 2020, I had recently been called out at work for racist behaviors and was struggling with fear and self-pity. I was flabbergasted, though. As a gay Jewish man who had always felt different or other than, I had considered myself a champion for equal rights. I was one of the good guys. How could I be racist? My workplace promised an anti-racism session, but when it never materialized, I resolved to actively seek out a space in which to learn rather than wallow in self-loathing. A dear friend of mine, Cara, who is a member of this choir, suggested that I join the choir Resounding Love, which was founded on anti-racist principles. Well, I jumped at this gift of an opportunity. It was perfect for me. I had always loved gospel music, although I wasn't always religious. And the opportunity to work on my internalized racism was a gift from the universe to me. The first thing in Resounding Love I found was that the choir was a place for each of us to be exactly who we were. And it's based in love, respect, and dignity. Marshawn is a dynamic, inspiring, gifted teacher of the art of traditional Black gospel music. And Cindy, who you heard speak earlier, is an incredible and empathic administrator and leader. Both have clearly laid out the mission, vision, and values of Resounding Love and inspire me to be my best self. Beyond the musical aspects of the choir, participating in the White Caucus has been quite an eye-opening experience. We support one another in our collective quest to unlearn the assumptions we learned simply by having grown up white Americans in this country founded on conquest and colonization. In the caucus, I have learned to question my own beliefs and ways of being that I came to understand were, in fact, racist. I now feel comfortable accepting that it was inevitable that I drank the good old American Kool-Aid that taught me it was okay to tell racist jokes, and that my Black and Latinx brethren were a threat to my safety. I'd accepted as true a completely biased, whitewashed version of American and world history, which, to this day, still serve to maintain and reinforce negative racial and cultural stereotypes. I learned of the many privileges that I enjoy as a white man that my comrades of color have never had. I learned that although I was Jewish and gay, these facts did not give me a pass, as I had previously believed. My work with the choir has inspired me to be more forthcoming with friends and family about the realities of racism, that approaching them in a loving way was less likely to elicit the defensiveness that I had felt when called out for racism at work. I found that when approaching racism as a universal phenomenon, I can inspire allyship, even as I work toward becoming able to call myself an ally. Most importantly, I'm learning cultural humility, to accept that I cannot begin to fathom the experiences of my Black and brown siblings. I'm learning to assume nothing, to listen rather than to speak, to empathize rather than judge. It isn't about me and my fragile feelings, regardless of how well-intentioned I may be. Rather, it's about accepting at face value the often painful realities of my relatives' lives and understanding my responsibility as a would-be ally and activated advocate who can educate others about racism with the aim of expanding the community of folks who are committed to creating a world where all people can live in harmony. Resounding Love models this harmony both figuratively and literally. It is my spiritual home, and I am so honored and humbled to be a part of it. Thank you for supporting us tonight with your time and generosity. I'll turn it back over to the other Chris now.
Thank you, Chris. Let's have another round of applause for all of our speakers to thank them for being brave and sharing their truth with us. Thank you. Thank you. Well, the energizing background music here tells me that it's now time for the first of our two opportunities for you to publicly pledge financial support for Resounding Love. Again, your financial support helps make the kinds of things our speakers shared possible. And we're so grateful for the support we've already received via Venmo and PayPal, even from folks who couldn't attend tonight. So here's how this is going to work. So I'm going to share a dollar amount or a range, dollar range, and if you're able to give that amount or somewhere within that range, I need you to put that in the chat with your name and the dollar amount. If you want to go the extra mile and make your actual donation at the same time, we're going to put links in the chat so you can go to the website and actually transfer the funds. But if you don't want to do that, no problem. We'll follow up with everyone later and after the event. And so as donations come in, I'm going to try my best to shout out some of the names I see in the chat. If you hear your name called, raise your glass, give us a wave, or do a little dance, kind of like if you were on the big screen at the Mariner game. And now is actually a great reminder that if you don't have your video on, now would be a great time to turn your video on if you're able to. Know that if I miss your name, we are just as grateful for your donation as others. Oh, and last, if you'd like to have your donation be anonymous, you can private chat in Zoom to either Cara or Danny with your name and amount, or simply just going to the links we're going to share and doing your donation right on the website. So we'll have additional opportunities after Marshawn shares with us in just a moment. So don't worry if you need additional time to think about how much you're going to be able to support. And if you want to give multiple times, that is totally okay as well. So remember, we're grateful for any amount you can give, big or small, but we are going to start high and work our way down. So first up, drum roll, if you're able to pledge an amount of $2,500 or more. 2,500 or more. Please write that in the chat with your name. And I'm just going to watch the chat. Wow, thank you. I see that Cara put in the chat, an anonymous choir member just donated $3,000. Thank you to whoever that was. Yay, thank you. That is wonderful. I'll give just a little bit more time for anything 2,500 and above, and then we're going to work our way down. All right, I will move us down. So let's work our way down to, let's do $1,000 to $2,500. If you're able to give $1,000 to $2,500, let's see your name in the chat with your amount. I see some names in the chat. Thank you. I am told we had a donation ahead of the event from the wonderful Andy Voitko. She was not able to be here, but she donated $1,000. So thank you, Andy. Again, if you can donate somewhere between $1,000 and $2,500, put your amount and your name in the chat. And I will keep us moving. If you are able to pledge, let's go 500 to 1,000. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000, put that dollar amount in the chat. Thank you, Leah. I see you in the chat, $1,000 from Leah and Finn. That is so awesome. Again, we're at the 500 to 1,000 range. If you can give within that, I'd love to see your name and that amount in the chat. Thank you, Chris Gaynor. I see your $500. This is fun. Raising the paddle, raising your name to support Resounding Love. I will give it another minute here, and then I will turn it over to Marshawn, and we'll have one more chance to donate before we close our time. Gretchen, I see your $500. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sue Blakely, I see your $500. Thank you.
Ooh.
I see Mary F. and Vince. Says Ian and Diane, $1,000. Thank you. Another anonymous for 500. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. Wow. Well, I'm going to keep us on time, so I am going to invite Marshawn to the screen to share with us, and then I will be back for the second paddle raise in a little bit. So thank you.
I actually think I need a minute. For those people who have donated already, we are so grateful and we're thankful. We're so thankful. My voice is not at full as I lost it last week, and I've been struggling to get it back, but I am going to try to get through this. But my heart is so full. My heart is so full. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Good evening. My name is Marshawn Motri, and I am the co-CEO and artistic director for Resounding Love Center for the Arts. Thank you so much for being here and participating in our very first fundraiser. I would be in violation of my very being if I did not thank my co-CEO and co-laborer in this work, Cindy. She is beyond words the most amazing individual I have met. And I have the honor of working with her in this work. And I could not imagine doing this work without you, Cindy. So I don't care if anybody else was on this screen. If it was just you and me, I would have to express my gratitude for choosing me and me choosing you. And Spirit has brought us together. To the Resounding Love members, I am so proud of you, and I thank you so much for trusting us and journeying with us through these tumultuous years of forming and honing our purpose. Thank you for the honor of holding your joys and your tears as you've held ours. Together, we truly are Resounding Love Center for the Arts. As the co-founder and CEO, let me share with you just a little bit about my own journey to this work. And it all starts with church. The church has always been a place of pretty interesting complexity for me. On one hand, it was the place where I nurtured my connection with God. I built community. There was structure, there was values, there was compassion, and I was taught to be a force of good in this world. And on the other hand, it was also a place where white supremacy culture reigned, where I was taught to fear people who were different than me or believed differently than me, where I was taught to hate myself, a place where I was told that I was less than, broken and damaged, and that I was the very manifestation of everything that was wrong in the world, simply because I was a gay man. After serving for 14 years as the pastor of worship and arts ministries at a fairly large church in California, I was eventually fired for being gay. I then moved up to Seattle in 2012 to establish a new life and new career as a therapist while continuing my work, my pastoral work, now in a liberal and more affirming church or churches. I was finally able to be my authentic self while serving an all-loving and socially just God. It was amazing, simply amazing. Freedom, finally, my life started to make sense. But eventually, I started to feel imprisoned by the culture of church. Now, don't get me wrong, I love church. There's so many wonderful things about it. But for me, in my experience, it was becoming complex and hard, especially as I was dealing with the limitations of my pastoral role, politics, insecurities of others, power struggles, and I was just done with it. I could not deal with it anymore, and I left it. Yet I always imagined what it would be like to create something that was very, very different, without these limitations that I felt were harmful, that actually violated the God of my understanding. So when Cindy called me with the idea of doing this nonprofit, everything in my spirit was in alignment, and my answer was an immediate yes. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, I love music. It is sacred and beautiful and has always been a tool of transformation in my life. One of the songs that truly exemplifies our work in Resounding Love is the song Waymaker. Waymaker was written by a Nigerian artist, and it's about how God will always work to change what is wrong to right. It's about how God will be a light in the darkness. It's about how God will never stop working and fighting for us. I was immediately in love with it. However, after arranging all the parts and the solos and mixing all the music, I got to the end of the song and my heart was troubled. Something was missing. I was holding so much grief and righteous indignation over the killing of Black and brown people, the suffering of the LGBTQI communities, the people who were experiencing homelessness, the prison system, sex trafficking and poverty, and so much more. I was compelled to go back down to my laundry room where I did most of my recordings. And I turned on my camera. And I just began to speak what I heard the Spirit of God say to me. We now have an opportunity to watch Waymaker. We hope that you are moved by its message and challenge. Enjoy Waymaker.
Waymaker, miracle worker, Waymaker, miracle worker, Waymaker, everybody sing.
Waymaker, miracle worker, Waymaker, miracle worker, Waymaker, miracle worker, Waymaker, miracle worker.
Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working.
Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working for me. You never stop working. You never stop working. You never stop working for me. You never stop working. I know it's Jesus, you are sitting every hour. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, Waymaker, promise keeper. My God, that is who you are. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker. My God, my God, my Jesus, you are. My Jesus, you are the Waymaker.
I hear the Spirit say that I love you with an everlasting love, and that I am the Waymaker, and that I've called each and every single one of you to be Waymakers. To be Waymakers through racism, sexism, and homophobia. To be Waymakers for those people incarcerated, those people impacted by drug addiction, and those children who have no voice. I hear the Spirit say, what you've done to the least of these, you've also done unto me. How will you be a Waymaker today? Sometimes just seeing that and remembering that I was downstairs in my laundry room, and I did that ending in one take. That never happens. But it seems like the Spirit of God was just flowing through me. And what I'm reminded of, and what that song just constantly brings to our souls, is that we are the Waymakers. It's you and I. The time for burying our hands and our heads in the sand and frankly sitting on our asses waiting for someone else to do the work is over. It's done. It takes courage to do this work. It takes heart to do this work. And it's painful to do this work. And that is why Resounding Love is so committed to serving underrepresented communities, serving facilities that house seniors and community centers, juvenile halls, prisons, homeless shelters, and VA hospitals, just to name a few. We also believe that we are called and that we are just truly called to speak truth to power. It is in our bone marrow. So we will look for avenues to bring our message of love and justice to establishments that desire to be a place of change. I believe this forced exposure to being virtual has been an intentional experience for us to think bigger. I see expressions of dance, theater, spoken word poetry. I believe that this work is contagious. I see work internationally. I see concerts working with adults and youth. To quote John Lennon, He says, you may say that I am a dreamer, but I am not the only one. And I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. I believe, in spite of the racism and sexism and homophobia and the killing of people who look like me, I still believe. I still dream. I still dream. And I will not stop dreaming. Because I do not want the next generation of kids to grow up in a world that practices hate. So support us not because you want to feel good. Do this because the human part of you, our humanity, cries out no more. You are sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing the hate in the world, and your soul cries out no more. Let's be the change that we want to see in this world. Thank you very much. I will turn this back over to Chris.
Thank you, Marshawn. That was so powerful, Marshawn. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. We are going to transition into our second paddle raise. I'm going to play the music again and bring our giving energy back into the room, but I also don't want to transition too quickly away from what Marshawn shared and the reason for partnering with Resounding Love. So I will hit play here on the music. And I am excited to say that through donations from this event starting 55 minutes ago, we are already at $10,000, which is pretty amazing. 10,175 to be exact. We're going to kind of cruise through this second paddle raise, and our thank yous and wrap up will probably push us past 6 o'clock. So if you have to leave on 6 o'clock on the dot, we understand. But if you can stay a little later, we will do so. So again, I'll share a dollar amount and a range, and if you can pledge in that amount, we'd love to see your name in the chat, or you can anonymously contact Cara or Danny. I think we're going to pick back up at $250 to $500 is where we're at. So if you can pledge some support between $250 and $500, put that in the chat. I believe we received some donations ahead of time that I want to call out. I believe Wayne and Phyllis Ogasawara were able to pledge at $500. So thank you, Wayne and Phyllis. And I was told, and I saw Gita on the call, but I was told Gita was able to donate $100 ahead of time as well. So thank you, Gita. And I see Willie and Gabe, $1,000. Thank you. That is a good reminder. If you didn't get a chance to donate something even over 500, of course, now you can put it in the chat. So at this point, I'll just open it up, and we'll go down to $100, $50, $25. Wherever you are able to give. Thank you, Jane Forbes. I see $400 in the chat. That is so exciting. And I will give it 30 more seconds. So now they're just rolling in. $25. Made it monthly. Love that. There's the idea of recurring. Andrea, 100. I see that. The other Gretchen, $100. Kelly, thank you. Chelsea, thank you. They're just coming in too fast for me to read them all. And so I would say keep sending them in. This is amazing. Oh, wow. I can't even keep track. The chat's moving so fast. So, so cool. Keep them coming in. And again, we will follow up with everyone. So you can make those donations on the website, or if you scroll up in the chat, the links are there for Venmo and PayPal. Wow. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Toby. Your sister, Mindy. Peyton, Gita, more. Thank you, Jenny, Gary. Okay, I'll be stuck here all night if I keep trying to read everyone's name. So amazing, so amazing. All right, I'm going to quiet that music and take us into the thank yous and the close. This is amazing, just to see all of the support coming in. Thank you. Let's give everyone just a round of applause for whether you pledged or not, your presence with us tonight just is a huge gift to us. Resounding Love and all the choir members on this call, you are such a gift to us, so thank you. I'm going to hand the mic over to Cindy for some final thank yous, and then we will wrap up our program. Cindy, over to you.
Chris, thank you so much. Gosh, you ever just get so tired of saying thank you over and over and just using the word gratitude over and over? I don't. So there are some very, very hardworking people that we wanted to give shout outs to individually tonight. And so Julianne and Gina are making all of us look and sound amazing behind the scenes. Total pros. Love you so much. Sean has been behind the info at Resounding Love Center for the Arts.org emails that you all have been getting, sending out the Zoom link and just treading through all of those requests and questions. Sean, appreciate you. Cara is the vice president of our choir and so much more. She brings so much spirit, heart, smarts to this work. We wouldn't want to do this with anybody else. Thank you, Cara. Danny, Willie, Gretchen, and Tracy are our board of directors, and you heard Willie tonight, but Gretchen, our outgoing treasurer, Danny, who is our secretary, also supporting behind the scenes, tracking and monitoring all of these wonderful donations. Tracy, our vice moderator, so grateful for all four of you. Kat and Chris, who shared testimonials tonight, very, very powerful words as representatives of our White Caucus, our Black Caucus from Willie, and the non-Black people of color caucus from Kat. Finally, Chris, just such an expert. And thank you for holding this space with such sensitivity and heart. I'm just so appreciative of everything that you bring. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Cindy. Well, with that, everyone, we are at the end of our program. It is hard to say goodbye, but we hope this isn't the last time. We'll see all of you. Those of you that did pledge your support this evening should expect a follow-up on how to send your gift through the Resounding Love website. And if somehow we missed you in the chat and we don't contact you, please, please, please go to the website and send in your donation. We really couldn't do this without all of your help. If you would like to support Resounding Love Center for the Arts in other ways, such as your time and talents, please let us know by emailing info@resoundinglovecenterforthearts.org. Resounding Love is in need to recruit new board members and someone to manage the website. So if that could be you, let us know. And with that, I can't believe it's already 6:01, and it really is hard to say goodbye to everyone. But we hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening and weekend. And like Cindy said, thank you, thank you, thank you. So much gratitude. Can't say it enough. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you so much.
Thank you. Hi, Mom. I love you.
Hi, Dominic.
I feel like we needed to see all the family members and have a little intimate,
Yes.
right? Like, this is Cindy's mom.
My mom's name is Michiko.
Hi, Andrea.
Aunt.
Hi, Kat, my beautiful, beautiful girl. You know I love you with all my heart.
There's Gina and Ashley. Hi, Mark. Hi, Jana. Love you guys. Thanks, Lynn. My sister's on. You wouldn't know it. Her name is, well, on here it's Tate and Lynn Garcia. There's my niece, Tate.
We need
Right, Nikki,
screenshots.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, family.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Love you all.
God bless you. Good night.
That pizza
Hi,
was good,
Kiko.
Christine.
Yes, I'm hungry, Christine. I'm gonna get some pizza now. Nikita, this hair is giving me all the life in the world. I'm loving it.
Looking gorgeous as usual, Nikita.
As usual. Toby, yes, from the car. Yes, honey. Ben. Oh, I love y'all.
I think we should sing now.
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Thanks for being on late with us, East Coasters.
Thank you so much, East Coast.